All right, at the end of the last video, I showed how to change block type that we designed as vector shapes, like this, into stroke type, outline type. But I'm going to do Command Z because you actually have to set a lot of the attributes of your stroke under properties. And what that does is it can reveal the strength and the weaknesses of your type design. So a strength of my design is the M, the N, the E, the N, the C, and the E all work well, but the A doesn't quite work well. And that's because it's overlapping with the same kind of width. So what does that mean? That means I'm going to select just it. And now because it's outlined, I have to select both those parts and then use the small selection tool. And I have to squeeze it a little bit. And I can reposition it just slightly using the large selection tool. Whoops. Click off of it, use the small selection tool, select all of it, large selection tool. Ooh, that's fun. Ooh, like a candle dripping. But what I really want to do is just this. Just play with its type setting just a little bit. Okay, so now I think the A is a little bit better. I think that all reads really clearly now. I don't love the bottom of the M. How can I fix that? Small selection tool again. Find the anchor points. Remember, all Illustrator does is give us full control of these anchor points. So because I want to select multiple ones, I want to select the ones on that corner of the stem of the M, then go to the small selection tool and then move it. And it's going to give it a little bit more space. And then same thing on the other side. Lasso tool, grab these three. You see how the stroke splits around the anchor point because we haven't outlined them yet. So we don't have an inside and outside edge, we just have an even stroke. And then I think I'm going to take individual anchor points by clicking off and then hovering on and bring them in. And you know what? I think I'm going to use, the pen tool and just delete some of these. I don't need so many. And then I can still redraw with the pencil tool. I have to see the anchor points first, but now it's going to redraw that stroke outline. Yeah, I like that. I can check it with my sketch. Nice. Now what do you guys think? Do you think I should leave public as a fill and just have menace as an outline? Or should I make them all outlines? Well, why don't I give myself the option? So to make them all outlines, I'm now going to select public. I'll lock menace. Select public, hold down shift, select them both. Copy it, Command C. Make a new layer, lock them. Put it up above because it's on top. That's a little bit easier. And now edit, paste in place. Okay, so now I have a copy of public right here on this magenta layer. Now, how do I turn that into outlines? Nice review. I swap the fill for the stroke. And then I go to properties and I play with the size of the stroke. Right? And you see how they're all bleeding together pretty badly. I go to click on stroke and I can make the corners rounded. You see what a difference that makes? So you don't get these little spikes happening at the corners. You want to round them. And then I can decide whether I want it on the inside. That doesn't look great. On the outside, or split in the middle. And then I have to decide what the width is, right? If I'm going to have it split. And I want it thin enough that I still have some space. So remember I did this as a duplicate. So now Where do I need a little bit more kerning? I need it on the P. So I'm going to hit it with the small selection tool and then the large selection tool, and somehow I didn't grab all of it. I thought I did. So let me make sure I've selected all of it. And then large selection tool, and then I can just move it. Should be able to. Yes, like that. Okay, and then same thing with the U. Small selection tool, grab it. Large selection tool, transform it. Shift it a little bit, shift it a little bit. Just really fine-tune that kerning. And then the L, keep the B where it is. Let's see, let's actually get all of these. The L, the I, the C. Let's move them just a little bit out and away. Okay, so that's nicely readable. And if anything, maybe I can make that B a little bit taller. And maybe, yeah, I'll keep it on vertical. That's fine. Or, well, let's see. I can right-click, go to transform, and just shear it a little bit. That's bizarre. So kind of cool. Cancel that. What I'm thinking is this. I'm going to take this corner. Got to use the lasso. Of the B. It's that back corner, and I just want to make it a little less than vertical. And then grab these anchor points, see, and kind of straighten them out. And I can also, I showed you how you can delete anchor points with the pen tool, right? That straightens it out. But you can also convert them. If they're curves, you want to convert them to straights, you can do that. All right. Okay, now I'm liking that. Almost. Messed up a little bit on the bottom, just got to fix it. And I'll do that with the good old pencil tool. Start on the path, end on the path. There we go. Okay, so now I have outlined type that I like. Does it work with my sketch, with my text blocking? I think so. Does it look better than the fill? Yeah, I actually think it does. I think it's a little bit more readable. So now I need to save these as individual vectors, one for public, one for Menace. But remember, before we save them as transferable types, I select it all. I drag it off the white to make sure there's no white in the design. So this is all gray, very good. Then I need to make sure there's no stroke. And this is all stroke. So how do I convert that stroke into a fill path again? I go to Object, Path, Outline the stroke. And now there's no stroke to it. Okay, then I'm going to turn off Menace, and I'm going to save this first as an AI, so Command S. Then I'm going to save it, File, Save As. And I'm going to name this the name of the type. So Karl, and then this is public type vector. And I save it as an EPS. And just to save time, I've already saved it all as an AI, so I'm just going to save them as EPSs to bring into Photoshop for my poster. But I'm going to save one for public, and I'm going to save one for Minus. Now, what do I need to do for Minus before I save it? Right now, it's all strokes. So I have to outline that stroke. And I should check if there's any white in it. There is not. So I go to Object, Path, Outline the stroke, turns it into a fill path. Then, Command S to save it all. Now my AI is the most updated for my black type. And now I save it as an EPS, but it's no longer public. It is Minus. And it's going to my Assignment 6 folder. That's where I opened it from as an EPS. All right. Let us see, and close all this stuff, what I've got. So I've got public and I've got Minus. Now I go back to my PSD, the one where I did my text blocking sketch. This is the one that's 16 by 20 by 350 pixels per inch. As long as it's at least 16 by 20 by 300, you're fine. And I'm going to bring my vector in. So if you're done with your type with the stroke, you want to select it all, and you want to go to Path, or Object, Path, Outline, Stroke. So it becomes a fill path. Now I'm going to turn off my text blocking sketches. So I have my background, my border, and my spot illustration, and I'm going to drag and drop in my EPS files. First public. Whoops. I guess first Minus. Bring that in. It's a little big, but I'm not going to worry about it yet. It's going to be a smart object, so it's going to infinitely scale perfectly. And then, what's my next one? The public. For some reason, I just labeled them opposite. I know I saved both. Let me do it again. That's why we save as a working file format. Maybe I was not paying attention. So let me open up my AI again. There it is. Let me save this as an AI with a different name. Not an AI, as an EPS. This is going to be public. There it is. There it is. Okay. So the reason it's not the exact right size is because the EPS will always save anchor to anchor point, right? So it's just filling up the space. But it's a smart object, so I can place it exactly where I want it. And I might want it to break my border a little bit, because I want this to be like a shocking kind of monster poster, like an old horror movie poster. Yeah. And I can play with my border as well. But I think that's an interesting placing for public. I think that works. Kind of splits the middle. And what's nice about smart objects is I can right-click without hurting them, and I can skew them. This is like adding italics. So I can maybe pinch in the bottom a little bit so that C balances it. Yeah, okay. So, like that. And now Minus, what do I want to do with it? Come on. Where is it? There it is. Transform it. Remember, it's a smart object, so it can be anything I need it to be. It will scale appropriately. There we go. Breaking the border. And then I have full control of every element, right? So I can tilt